US-75 Part 1. Alright, this is the first part in a 4-part series covering US-75. Before I continue, please do everything you see in the lower left-hand corner. So like, comment, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And as we take a look at the route, it goes from Dallas, Texas to the Canadian border near Noyes, Minnesota. Kind of in the middle of nowhere. But for this part, we're just going to look at the section between Dallas, Texas, and Omaha, Nebraska. So that's roughly a halfway point. Alright, let's start by looking at US-75 northbound. So here we are approaching downtown Dallas. We have an intersection with I-30. For some reason, I-30 has no control cities. I don't know why we don't get 30 West Fort Worth, 30 East Texarkana, 30 East Little Rock, 30 East Memphis, I don't know, something here. Not sure why we don't have anything there, but we do have 75 north for McKinney. This is actually the start of Interstate 345. However, it is unsigned, but with one quick fix, now it is. Alright, continuing on, we have a spectacular view of downtown Dallas. This is one of the best views you can get while driving around it. It goes pretty much like right through downtown. And looking towards the right, we can see a little bit of Deep Ellum over here. And continuing on, we're meeting the Woodall-Rogers Freeway, and now we have it's time for 2 Interstate 35E for Waco and Denton. I will touch on those control cities whenever I do I-35 in Texas. But for now, we do have a 75 north for McKinney. And as we continue, we meet the Northwest Highway, Highway 12 here. And we get a laundry list of exits coming up. And here we are meeting Interstate 635, and 75 North is still signed for McKinney. So I talked about this in the 635 video about McKinney, and just to reiterate, I don't understand why McKinney is signed. It is a large suburb of Dallas, but if you're going to sign a large suburb of Dallas, you should sign Plano, because Plano is larger and arguably more famous than McKinney. I know McKinney is the county seat of Collin County, and I imagine that's why it's signed. But yeah, this should probably be Plano instead of McKinney here. Here we are meeting the High 5 interchange. This is the interchange with 75 and 635. Much better view going on 75 than on 635, like we saw in the 635 video. Much more impressive going this way. Here we are meeting the President George Bush Turnpike, and also the Sam Rayburn Tollway just ahead. And here we are in McKinney. We are now signing 75 North Sherman, which I think is a decent choice because this is the largest thing between McKinney and Tulsa. And signing Tulsa would be, like, I mean, it would be cool, but I don't think Texas or Oklahoma is going to keep up with Tulsa all the way. So I think something like Sherman is okay, since it's a pretty big North Texas city. And it's bigger than some of the other, like, sizable towns in, like, Oklahoma that we're going to meet. So I think Sherman's okay here. Here we are meeting US 380 is signed for Greenville for eastbound and Denton for westbound. Denton definitely makes a lot more sense to be on 380 than on 35E, so pretty good sign here. Greenville's where you meet I-30, so I like that. Here we are in Melissa. We have another pull through for Sherman, as well as Texas Highway 121 for Bonham. And here's a look at the Buc-ee's Melissa. Couldn't find a lot of interchange or mileage signs along the way, but here's one I found. We're signing north for Sherman still, which makes some sense. Here we are meeting US 82 for Bonham and Gainesville. And from US 82, we're signed for Dallas for southbound and Denison for northbound. I mean, any case, I would be like, okay, Texas being provincial, this is the last city in Texas. But Denison is pretty big still. I mean, not as big as Sherman, but still pretty big. And it's bigger than Durant and like a lot of the cities we're going to see in Oklahoma. So I think this one's also okay. And here's one mileage sign I could find. We have Denison 5 and Durant 22. So Durant assigned after Denison. And we get an overhead sign for Durant in Denison itself. And here is a pull through of 69 and 75 as we are concurrent with northbound 69 as we meet southbound 69 right here. Here we're crossing the Red River into Oklahoma. And just past it, we get a welcome to Oklahoma sign. At random interchanges in Oklahoma, we are signed 69 and 75 north for Durant still. And here's a mileage sign. We have Calera 5, Durant 10, and McAllister 86. And here's a look at the Choctaw Casino Resorts. And once we're in Durant, we have 69-75 north for Durant and Tulsa, as well as 70 West Medill, 70 East Hugo. Durant and Tulsa, I actually do think this is a good time to sign Tulsa, because, I mean, from Durant to Tulsa, there's not really a lot of big places along the way. McAllister's kind of big, but that's on 69. And McAllister is where you meet the turnpike, so I think after Durant it should be like McAllister Tulsa. I think that would be good. We have a list of Durant exits. We have West Main Street, University Boulevard, and Washington Avenue. Durant is mostly signed because of the university as well as the Choctaw Casino Resort. So I think that's why I'm mostly okay with signing Durant here. However, north of Durant, we don't get McAllister or Tulsa sign. We have Atoka, which is kind of important because that's where 69-79 split, 75 rather, but why is it Atoka and not, I don't know, McAllister, Tulsa, something? But at another interchange, we do at least get McAllister signed. So now we have Caddo 7, Atoka 26, McAllister 70. So it is treating McAllister as the primary, which, I mean, I kind of understand because that's where you meet the turnpike, but I really think they should mention Tulsa. If they have it on that last overhead, they should at least mention on the mileage signs. And now we get Atoka 18, McAllister 63, and Muskogee 126, which is another city on US-69. I know US-69 doesn't go to Tulsa, but it's kind of weird that it's being treated as the main route here and not 75, which this is an X5 US highway. So, yeah, I don't know. This should be Atoka, McAllister, Tulsa, not Atoka, McAllister, Muskogee here. In our next mileage sign, we don't even get Muskogee. We get Atoka, Stringtown, McAllister. Like, they can't even sign Muskogee or Tulsa? Like, come on. And... okay, and to keep it up, we have McAllister on this side, but what is this horrible font? What is up with this font? I mean, it's not the worst I've seen, but holy, like, why is the C just so much smaller than the rest of the letters here? I understand why the C is smaller, but, like, why is it, like above, like, why is it, like, on top but not on the bottom here? And, I don't know, this weird-looking number font, too, and this letter font, I don't know what to do about this. And when 75 and 69 split, we do get McAllister Tulsa for 69, so that's good because McAllister is where you meet the turnpike, and that's the fastest way to Tulsa. And then 75 North and State Highway 3 is signed for Colgate and Ada. I think those are okay. Ada, I think, works just because it is kind of a bigger city in Oklahoma. There's not really much else on 75 between here and I-40, so I think this is okay here. And we do have a mileage sign for those cities, as well as another reassurance sign. We have 75 State Highway 3 for Ada still. And when they split, 75 North is signed for Calvin. I don't really like that too much. I know that's where you meet US-270, but it's not a very useful junction, and Calvin's not that big of a town. But here we have Calvin and Wetumpka here. So Wetumpka, I think, is a little better. It's maybe like 1,000, 1,500. I know it's not really a big city, but the other options aren't really that logical either, because there's a split in Calvin to get back to the Turnpike, to get to Tulsa, so... But, however, I wouldn't mind Tulsa being on the sign still, but after Calvin, I think they should put Tulsa back on the sign. Here we are in Calvin. We're meeting US-270 East, and then we will be concurrent with 270 West for a brief time. We get another mile sign. We get Holdenville, Wetumpka, and Tulsa here. Tulsa 96, so that's pretty good to see. And when they split, 75 goes straight here, 270 goes left. And our next mile sign we get Wetumpka 10 and Henrietta 38. What happened to Tulsa, Oklahoma? Huh? What happened to Tulsa? But at this interchange here, this intersection, we have Tulsa signed here. And, oh, I don't know what to do about this sign. Okay, so Tulsa is on the bottom line. That is good. But we have US-62 Junction 7. Okay, does 75 meet 62? Yes, it does. But you know what 62 shares the pavement with? Interstate 40! You should sign Interstate 40 Junction 7, not US-62! I don't know. But here we are meeting Interstate 40 is side for Oklahoma City going west and Fort Smith going east. So I think those are good choices for Interstate 40, and we will be concurrent with 40 East. However, we don't have any reassurance sign for US-75 or even US-62. Like, you signed Junction US-62 on the mileage sign, but you can't even sign it when you're on Interstate 40, the reason for signing US-62. But after the concurrency with Interstate 40 ends, we have East 62 and North 675 for Henrietta and Okmulgee. Okay, so Henrietta is the town just off of Interstate 40, and Okmulgee is like a slightly bigger town beyond it. We're also meeting the Indian Nation Turnpike for McAllister, Dallas here. So yeah, this is the, like, if you wanted to get here from, say, Durant, you know, you would come up this way to meet this junction, but yeah, I don't know. I think they should replace either Henrietta or Okmulgee with Tulsa. But luckily, our next model time, we do get Okmulgee and Tulsa. And here we are splitting from US-62. We are now signed north for Tulsa, and 69 is signed for Morris and Muskogee. We have the Interstate 44 Junction 23 and Tulsa 30. So from I-40, Tulsa is on the bottom line of the mileage signs, so that's good to see. Here we are meeting the Creek Turnpike, just outside of Tulsa, and 75 North is still signed for Tulsa. And here we are meeting Interstate 44. I don't know why West 44 has a really bad-looking shield here. But we have two cities signed on everything, and the 75 North one makes sense. We have Tulsa and Bartlesville, which is the control city after Tulsa. West 44, we have Sapulpa and Oklahoma City. Not sure why Sapulpa is on there. I guess that's because of State Highway 66 here. And 44 East, Claremore and Joplin. If Joplin's going to be the primary, I don't think we need Claremore on there. Joplin's kind of small enough. Anyway, if we merge onto Interstate 244, we don't have a sign telling us we are, but here we are merging on with it. And we have a first look at downtown Tulsa in the background, and we are now on 75 Northeast 64 Broken Arrow Bartlesville to reflect where 64 and 75 are going. And this is actually Interstate 444, but there's no signage for it. It's unsigned as of right now. I don't know if it'll ever get signed because it's kind of confusing because you have 244 in here too. And I don't know, it's not a very like long highway, so yeah, I understand why they don't sign it, but here we go for anybody who doesn't know. Going on, 75 and 64 split, 64 for Broken Arrow, and 75 north for Bartlesville. And here's another 444 sign for you. And here's a good look at downtown Tulsa, probably our best look on this road. And here we are meeting 244 again, because 444 does loop back around to it. We don't get a control city for 75 or 244 West, which is a little weird. We have 244 for Joplin, because it's going to meet with Interstate 44. But as we do split off with 244 is signed for Oklahoma City, which is pretty good. 75 north for Bartlesville, which does make sense. Bartlesville is a pretty big city in Oklahoma. I mean, Topeka is a little far, so I understand why they don't sign Topeka yet. So Bartlesville does make sense here. At random intersections, we do have Bartlesville signed. And we have a mile sign. We have just Bartlesville 25. And here is a mileage sign along the route. We have Bartlesville 17, Dewey 20, and State Line 32. Typical for Oklahoma to throw in State Line as a control city. Here we are meeting with US-60 in Bartlesville. We will be concurrent with 60 West for a bit. And when that concurrency ends, we have 60 West for Pawhuska and Ponca City. And we see up on the overpass, we see North 75 Dewey, which I really don't like. Dewey is about like 3,000, 4,000 people, so I understand like why it's signed. But the problem is it's so close to Bartlesville. It's like maybe 4 or 5 miles from Bartlesville. I really think they should just sign something out of state. I'd be fine with Topeka here, honestly, but maybe Independence, Kansas would probably work better. Just because it's a bit closer. It's about 9,000 people, so it's a bit bigger. And plus it's out of state, so I think something like that would probably be better. And coming out of Dewey, we have Caney, Kansas 8 and Topeka, Kansas 170. I'm not sure if this is just a one-off sign, but I do like that they're signing Topeka from so far. And here we are entering Kansas. We see Montgomery County line right here. And in the distance we see Kansas welcomes you, so a pretty decent welcome sign. And here we are meeting with 166, and we're going to be concurrent with it for a while. 166 East is signed for Coffeyville, and 75 and 166 are signed for Independence. So Independence, I think, works. And here's the mileage sign. We get Independence on the second line, and Arkansas City 70. It's not Arkansas City, as you'd think, but it's Arkansas City, pronounced in Kansas. And 166 West will split for Arkansas City. And our next mileage sign on 75, we have Independence, Neodesha 34, and Yates Center 70. Not too sure about Yates Center yet, but we'll keep going. Here we are meeting with 160, and we will be concurrent with 160 East. And we just get a mileage sign for Independence 1 mile. I don't know about that. And here is when the concurrency with 160 ends. 75 North is for turning left at the stoplight. And we see a look at downtown Independence. It looks kind of cool. And Yates Center is our bottom line control city. I'm not sure about this, and like we'll see in a bit why I'm not sure about Yates Center. Because here, when we meet with US 400, it is now assigned for Topeka and Wichita, which is kind of weird because we're not really close to Yates Center at all, which is kind of strange, and not sure why Topeka is is such a bigger font than these other two cities, but I mean, at least it's on there. And we will be concurrent with 400 for a while. So here we get Nebraska 4. Let's see. Fredonia 14 and Wichita 101. So we don't have a control city for 75. They're treating 400 as the primary here, which is kind of a theme on this road. Seems like 75 just kind of gets neglected a lot. We don't really have many control cities for 75. But Wichita is the largest city, so I understand why it's signed. And we don't have an exit for 75. Well, we do have an exit, but we don't have a sign for it. So let me fix that. We got 75 north on the sign. I said Neodesha, Yates Center, Topeka, which I think are all pretty substantial enough cities to sign. Topeka definitely should be on there. You could make an argument for skipping Neodesha or Yates Center. But Topeka should be on the sign because we see here all three of these cities are on the next mileage sign. So Kansas does list Topeka on this mileage sign. And since we're not really that close to Yates Center yet, I think they should probably just sign Topeka instead of Yates Center, probably from Independence, Kansas. However, once Topeka is on the sign, it comes back off. Now we just have Altoona 8 and Yates Center 36. Again, I think they should just stick with their state capital. And now we're on 169 North Detour and 75 here. We see Yates Center still signed on that mile sign in the distance. And here we are meeting with US-74, so maybe that's the reason for signing Yates Center. But still, I think I would prefer Topeka here. And luckily we do get Topeka back on the sign after Yates Center. We got Burlington 22, Lyndon 52, and Topeka 85. Here we are meeting with Interstate 35. 35 is correctly signed for Wichita and Kansas City. And from 35 we have 75 signed for Lyndon and Burlington. Again, I'm not sure about this, but I kind of understand not signing Topeka on 35 just because there would be a lot faster ways to get to Topeka, like 335, because northbound 35 traffic would take that, and then southbound 35 traffic would likely take 70. But, oh my, Kansas, why? Why? We have Lyndon signed. It's 13 miles from here. Like, you can't even sign, I don't know, Burlington, or even better, your state capital. We gotta go with Lyndon here. Somebody hand me a Febreze ball, because this control city stinks! Anyway, next mileage sign we get, we have Lyndon 6, Carbondale 20, and Topeka 32. So, like, again, Topeka's not that far from Lyndon, so, like, to me, everything north of 35 should be signed for Topeka, because 75 traffic is what's going to be looking for Topeka. Here we are meeting with US-56. 56 is signed for Burlingame and Baldwin City. And we pass over Interstate 335. We don't have a direct connection with it, though. Here we are in the Topeka area. We have West and East 470, which don't have any control cities. And we will be concurrent with 470 for a brief time. Here we have a 470 and 75 reassurance shield, so they're at least doing a little better than Oklahoma with the reassurance shields. And here we are meeting I-70. I-70 West is signed for Salina, and 70 East and 75 are signed for Kansas City. So, pretty decent sign here. I could understand Denver being signed instead of Salina, but Salina is kind of big for Kansas, so I don't have too many issues with that. Here we are with I-70, US-75, and US-40. We have reassurance shields for all those, plus Kansas Highway 4. And when the concurrency ends, we have 75 signed for Holton. which is sort of okay. Like, again, it's tough to say out of Topeka just because the cities coming up are really small. Like, they're about 1,000, 2,000 people each. I wouldn't mind seeing Omaha here personally, but I don't know. Here we are meeting US-24, 24 West for Manhattan, and 24 East for Lawrence. Shout out Control City Freak. See a Lawrence sign. And our first model sign we see after Topeka, we have Hoyt 11, Mayetta 17, and Holton 25. Again, like, I don't know, I probably would just sign Omaha from here just because these cities aren't really that big enough to sign on their own. Especially since, you know, this is a straight shot to Omaha, so I think they should just have that on the bottom of these signs and just move these to secondaries. And along the way, our next control city we get is Junction US-36, so we don't even get a city here, we just get a junction. A little weird. And our next sign after Holton, we have Fairview 26, Sabbatha 34. Again, these cities are a little close to each other. I really think they should just replace one of these with Omaha. And now we just have Sabbatha 5. And after that, we get Auburn, Nebraska 34. Auburn NEB. Don't really know why it's abbreviated NEB instead of NE. And also, what is up with the weird font with, like, NEB right here? Like, why is it so much smaller? And why is it all capitalized? I don't know. But here we are. We're entering Richardson's County, Nebraska. And we see in the distance, Nebraska, the good life, home of Arbor Day. This sign looks like it has a bunch of bullet holes. Like, this sign is in really bad shape, and, like, I don't know, man. Like, home of Arbor Day, like, Control City Freak put it best when he said this is the Benjamin Harrison of holidays. He couldn't be more right about that. Well, surprisingly, the first milo sign we get in Nebraska, we have Omaha 87. Huh. That's interesting. I wonder if this is just a one-off sign. And surprisingly, it isn't. We have Nebraska City as a secondary, which I think is okay. And then Auburn was a city sign from Kansas, so that makes sense to be on there. But we also have Omaha 87. This is weird because I was the same mileage as the last sign, but hey, we got Omaha on here at least. Here we are meeting with US-73. 75 is for going straight here. And we are concurrent with it for a little bit. And we have Omaha 81. So Omaha is even signed a directional sign. That's interesting. Here we are meeting with 136. It will be concurrent with 136 truck route here. And then next model sign we get after Auburn, we have Nebraska City and Omaha. So Nebraska City is definitely a good secondary. But, oh no, where did Omaha go? Nebraska City 11 single line. Okay, well, I suppose if it's just a one-off sign, can't complain too much. But, oh no, we have another one for just Nebraska City for 6 miles. Where did Omaha go? Like, where did your biggest city go, Nebraska? Is it gone? Was it reduced to atoms here? I don't know. But here in Nebraska City, we split for going left here. North 75 is signed for Omaha and Lincoln because of State Highway 2. It's concurrent for a little while. And this is a little weird. We have Lincoln 50, which Lincoln is the capital, so I understand why they're signing it, but it's weird that they're favoring a city on a state highway compared to a US highway. So that's a little weird. And here we are meeting with US-34. It'll be concurrent too with it. And when this concurrency ends, we have Omaha 32 for straight, Union 1 and Lincoln 42 for going left. And along the way, we do see Omaha is signed here. So the Concurso 34 ends right here, is signed for Glenwood, Iowa. Here we are meeting with 275 for L Street, along with State Highway 92. And now 75 North is just signed for the Kennedy Freeway. So we're getting kind of a Atlanta situation here. And here we are at 480 North. This is where it will be concurrent with 480 as well. We are meeting with Interstate 80, 80 West signed for Lincoln, and 80 East signed for Council Bluffs and Des Moines. So pretty decent use of dual control cities there. If it was just Council Bluffs, I would not be happy with that, but they do throw in Des Moines, which is nice. And we were signed for downtown Omaha for going north, as well as the Eppley Airfield. And this was where we will leave off. This will be the end of part 1, and it will be continued in part 2, so stay tuned for that. Just as a reminder, do everything you see in the lower left hand corner, and I hope you enjoyed, and be on the lookout for part 2.